Here's the truth. Success is not for the lazy, right? There is something called like the law of action. You have to put effort in to get the wheel spinning, right? And it doesn't mean that it all has to be hard, right? When we're in alignment, when we're in energetic alignment with the things that we're doing, we can gather that sense of flow. We can actually have things feel relatively easy. And one of the things that I want to just say as I start this conversation is that, I've spent time leading sessions with hundreds and hundreds of leaders and women entrepreneurs all over the world. And these are CEOs who are running multiple $1 million organizations, women who are really like at the top of their companies. And then also women who are just starting out, right? Who are just navigating themselves into an entrepreneurial world. Maybe they have a home business, maybe they are, doing something at the side, right? And so I've spent a lot of time with women at all levels and at all different earning standpoints in their career, at different, moments in their career. And what I find fascinating is that money blocks do not discriminate by rank, title, income. And what I mean by that is that we all have money blocks. And I have money blocks. You have money blocks, right? We all have them. And what I think is is fascinating about that, right, is that they're not discriminating. And yet money blocks don't mean that we can't be rich, we can't be wealthy, we can't, create, massive, a legacy of wealth, that we can't be, massively compensated for our work, right? That we can't have that positive impact that we want to have in the world, right? They don't discriminate against that, right? But it's up to us to actually do the work to clear those money blocks, to release those money blocks, to let them go and to eliminate them, right, at that level so we can get to our next level. And what I have discovered is that, next level, new devil, there's always, or same old devil most of the time, right? Most of the stuff that we're working through, we get to a certain level, we work through it, and then it kind of shows up at the next level. And so that's the work that I do inside of my Money Mastery Academy, is really working with women to pull back those layers and understand what are those money blocks, and then actually giving them the tools to strategically work through them and work through them very quickly, so that things that maybe in the past could have derailed them for, days, weeks, months, right? I mean, taking them down, rat holes and pathways that were just so misaligned with their goals and their vision, right? Instead, they're making these shifts really powerfully and quickly, spending just an hour stuck on that and then shifting and then going back into it, or even just, a few minutes of time, like, oh, that's that thing I do. No, I'm not going to fall prey to that money block. And then they cruise forward. So I want to just show you and maybe give you some ideas of what does this look like. I wrote down some of the common themes, and I'm going to look at my notes here. Some common themes that I find are desiring more support. Who here wants more support? Feeling like, you can't be successful if, you don't bust your ass all the time, and then that's going to take away from your family, right? And like burn out your adrenals, right? Like that's a really common one. Having poor boundaries, not ever being able to turn work off. And so you never feel like you can be completely present with your family or your loved ones. Feeling stuck in the how. This is a really common block, right? Like, how is it going to happen? Needing to give up control and delegate more, but you're resisting that. So who here has ever felt that one? I'm going to hold my hand up because I know that I have. I'm currently working on a project, you guys, and I have like delegated the whole thing over, and it's amazing, right? It's like so exciting because it's the first time that I've been able to do this for this particular type of big action, because I've got a fully functioning team that's amazing, right? And so it feels so good. Craving accountability, right? That's something that we all are often needing, right? We're needing people to hold us accountable and like kind of like hold us to the fire. Battling perfectionism. Maybe you've got the tendency to want everything to be perfect. And so then you don't actually ever share it with the world, or you work on it to, endless hours and days. And there's really just like a diminishing return on that value. Let's see, desiring growth, but not investing in support, struggling to ask for help. Oh my goodness, how many of you have felt guilty for like wanting to take an afternoon off or go out to dinner with some girlfriends, or feeling guilty because you're working and then you think you should be spending time with your family or your loved ones, or feeling guilty because you're spending time with your loved ones and you feel like you should also be working, right? Like, oh my goodness, we have so much guilt that we trap ourselves with. Lacking clarity about what it is that you want. You guys, I see this all the time. Women come into my money mastery program and they have no clue about what it is that they actually really want to create for themselves in their lives, because they haven't given themselves the opportunity to really dive into that, to not feel guilty about what they want, or not feel like afraid to voice it, right? They're afraid to claim it, right? So they haven't even given themselves space to think about it. Can you relate? I know I can relate, because you guys, I see myself inside of this too, right? And that's why I do the money mindset work, right? That's why I created the money mastery program, because that's what took me from being a broke, overwhelmed, overworked human, right, who was not allowing herself to receive, and was impacting all the areas of my life, right, even my love life, right? I was denying myself like being fully loved, right, or fully in a place of joy, right, because I was stuck in that scarcity. And once I did that work to heal my money mindset, right, to release a lot of these money blocks, right, my life transformed, right? It was truly revolutionary. And that's why, that's even part of why I call this group Abundance Revolution, because it's a revolutionary shift when you start to do this work. And that's what we do inside of Money Mastery. Because all of these blocks, you need the tools to work through them, because this is a life's work. You guys, I say this all the time, but your relationship with money is a relationship that you have forever. And so I do the money mindset work, every day, every week. I re-listen to modules. I go through activities. I use the strategic planning tools that I teach, because that's how this work works, right? It works if you work it. So inside of this conversation, I want to just remind us that, all the things that we spoke out, all the things that you guys are typing inside of the comments in terms of, where you're feeling like maybe you're stuck on the path, right? And not in that path of least resistance, but literally you're swimming upstream against the current. All of these things compound, right? They compound, and all of these things are also really normal. I just want to put it out there. It's totally normal. We all have it. We can read the comments. We can see that, so many of us are relating to this because they're so common. And yet, when things are going like normally well, like they can be challenging, but in challenging times like we've had over the last, year and a half, 2 years with the world pandemic, they can get even more challenging and be triggered even more. So I want to put that out there. And I want to just give you a couple ways that this shows up inside of maybe, the self-talk, inside of the constant loop of chatter that's running through your mind in your mind as you're going through your day. And so thinking about all those money blocks and thinking about all those things that, we're wanting more support. We're not clear about what it is that we want. We're not delegating. We're stuck in perfectionism, right? All of those things. So here's some of the specific ways this shows up. So I want you to listen closely and then type into the comments like, yep, yes, give me a Y, give me an emoji if that's something that's yours, or type in the thing that you hear when these things come up for you, when you feel like you get triggered. So I wrote a couple of them down. Sounds like you have to go it alone. It will only get done well if you do it yourself. Success requires sacrifice and struggle. Making money is hard. I don't know how. I'm not ready to. If I charge that much, they're going to they're going to bail out on me. Right. And so just listen for those kinds of things. What are the things that you hear, right? That you notice yourself saying in your inner dialogue, right? And is it actually serving you, or is it limiting you? So one of the tools that I love to teach is this idea of the path of least resistance. And it's exactly like what it sounds. It is the path that you can walk where there is the least resistance, right? There's the least amount of force pushing against you, right? So it really literally feels like the path is cleared, right? Like the opportunity for you to move forward is 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 clear, right? It's possible. So one of the things that I always like to tell people that, when they hear that, they sometimes think, oh, great, I'm just going to like meditate and like, not have to do any work and it's all just going to happen. And um, some of you who have known me for a while know that I'm very bold in the way that I speak and I'm very direct and I'm candid. And it's part of why so many of you love me, right? And because I tell the truth, right? And so here's the truth. Success is not for the lazy, right? There is something called like the law of action. You have to put effort in to get the wheel spinning, right? And it doesn't mean that it all has to be hard, right? When we're in alignment, when we're in energetic alignment with the things that we're doing, we can gather that sense of flow. We can actually have things feel relatively easy, right? When we're working in that zone of genius of ours, right? Time just sort of like speeds by and, we can be uber productive, right? So here's the deal. Finding ways that you can actually serve your people, right? Ways to market and be visible for your business that excite you, team members that you're like thrilled to be working with, clients that fuel you, work that inspires you. That's the path of least resistance, right? So who wants that and what's missing for you? Type it into the comments and let me know. A lot of women resist this, right? And it goes back to the money blocks. We resist it being easy, right? We think it has to be complicated. We invest in the struggle. We don't allow ourselves to be supported, right? And so and it shows up by serving people that like are draining us, right? Taking on clients just because we feel like we have to take them on, even though we're not excited about them, or we're doing work that doesn't really actually leverage our gifts because it's like a way to make money, right? Or we're not allowing other people to support us. And so we're just trying to do it all ourselves. Like, is any of this resonating? Has anybody ever done this? Like, I know in the beginning, I took on a couple clients that I didn't really enjoy. And I was like, wait a second, why am I doing this? And so now I have a policy really that, I always meet with anybody who's going to work with me privately or any of my programs before they join. And we make sure that it's a fit, right? Because, personally, I only take on a handful of clients individually. And even my group work is very intimate, right? And so it's got to be the right fit, right? I got to be like, I'm full on in. I love this person. I cannot wait to dive into all their things. I cannot wait to help them. Like, I want to be thinking about them in between things, right? And so, like, we got to be all in, right? It has to be in a really good partnership, right? It's like a good marriage, right? I love that quote, Deb. Thank you. Right? So, you want to be doing work that's going to be lifting you up, right? That's part of this path of least resistance, right? And so here's the first thing that I want to say. You actually have to give yourself permission to run your business and to run your life the way you want to run it. And once you do that, then everything can click into place. And I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. And literally, this is how easy this tool is to implement inside of your life. There are 2 questions, 2 powerful questions for you to ask to help you achieve this path of least resistance. So the first one is a simple yet very powerful question. And so I want you to write this down. The question is, what feels good? You guys, so simple, so elegant, right? It's so simple and so elegant because it's so powerful and effective, right? When you ask yourself this question, right, you can then apply it to all the pieces of your business or your life, right? Like, who are the clients and the customers that feel really good to work with, right? What work feels really good to me, feels best to me? What am I really good at that other people need? What's the best use of my time? What feels really good to be spending my time doing, right? What support would make this feel even easier, feel really good? You can see how all those questions can then bridge off of that and really allow you to create an opening for the path of least resistance. Conversely, then you can ask yourself the second question, which is just as elegant and just as powerful. And that simply is, what does not feel good, right? Like, what hasn't felt good that I've done in the past? What am I currently doing inside of my business that no longer feels good to me? What would I need to shift inside of my business because it doesn't feel good, right? That is not any of those things are going to show you what is like so far off the path of least resistance. It's like the path of struggle, right? And so just answering those questions can be so valuable. What isn't working or what's not flowing or feeling good in my life, right? There may be something that you're doing that you're like, dude, it is not working for me to not be exercising, or it's not working that I like abandon my meditation practice, or it's not working that I haven't been calling, prospective customers or clients and setting up consults with them, right? Whatever it is, right? You're going to know immediately what's not working and what hasn't felt good and what's like, kind of like sticking up the ride, right? Like it's making it not full of flow, but like really clunky. You're going to know. So once you've actually started to reflect on those questions, then you can actually start to, make some decisions, right? And begin to implement things inside of your life that are actually going to create that path of least resistance.